Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Right now, top economists and policy experts are quietly sounding the alarm on a massive, impending economic shift that is squarely targeting the American middle class by 2030. We are staring down the barrel of potentially the single greatest economic transformation in modern history. So today, we're unpacking exactly why the traditional white-collar world is facing a level of disruption we've literally never seen before.
Picture this. You've played by the rules your entire life. You know the drill. You got the degree, you hustled up the corporate ladder, and you landed that really comfortable desk job. You probably feel like your position is incredibly secure, right? Robot-proof even. Because, well, you do complex cognitive work. You aren't standing on an assembly line tightening bolts, so you've got absolutely nothing to worry about. At least, that's the comforting narrative we've all been sold for decades. But looking at the data, we really need to shatter that illusion of safety, and fast. Because in less than a decade, a massive chunk of these roles could just be wiped out entirely. And honestly, the most shocking takeaway here, it is not going to be some physical humanoid robot walking in and sitting at your desk. No way. It's going to be a few invisible lines of code, an incredibly cheap algorithm performing your exact cognitive tasks for literally pennies. Generative AI is rapidly mastering the exact same skills that define the modern American middle class.
To put that into perspective, the math behind this shift is just staggering. Think about traditional human labor for a second. A seasoned professional might take several hours to draft a complex, nuanced report, and they're going to charge hundreds of dollars for that time. Now, contrast that with generative AI, which can spit out an absolutely impeccable document in about 20 seconds for mere pennies. When you're staring at that kind of massive gap in speed and cost, well, the corporate world will ruthlessly choose the machine. It's just a simple, unavoidable matter of market efficiency.
And this completely flips all of our old assumptions right on their head. For years, we all kind of assumed blue-collar, manual labor would be the first to get automated, that figuring out how to fold laundry or navigate a messy warehouse would be solved way before data analysis or coding. Actually, the exact opposite is happening. Our brains are uniquely evolved for complex physical movement in a 3D space, which makes physical labor incredibly hard to program. But machines, they are mathematically optimized for pure information processing. And that puts highly paid cognitive office workers directly in the crosshairs.
So this brings us to a really comforting, but now completely broken historical myth. For centuries, economists have patted us on the back and reassured us that automation ultimately makes society wealthier by creating new, better jobs as humanity adapts. It happened with agriculture in the 1800s, manufacturing in the 1900s, and complex office jobs in the 2000s. The rule of thumb was that human intelligence was always the bottleneck, so AI would just create higher-level tasks for us. But looking ahead to the 2030s, that historical narrative completely falls apart.
And that is exactly why experts are issuing such a stark warning. This time is fundamentally different. The machine isn't just replacing our muscles anymore. It is rapidly catching up to the biological limits of our brains. As researchers point out, and this is a crucial quote, once a computer surpasses our cognitive capacity, there simply won't be any new human-exclusive tasks left to invent. We are removing the bottleneck of human intelligence from the economic equation entirely. There's no higher tier of brain work for the masses to safely retreat to.
Because these algorithms are so quickly mastering the very skills that keep the middle class afloat, the immediate economic fallout could be absolutely severe. Experts are predicting this rapid displacement could push unemployment to a staggering 10 to 20% in just a few short years. To translate that percentage into reality, we're talking about tens of millions of highly educated, experienced professionals waking up one day to find themselves locked out of the labor market, all because an algorithm can do their life's work faster and cheaper. Now you might be thinking, okay, surely massive government retraining programs are going to step in and save us, right? Well, history tells a very different story. Federal retraining initiatives have an incredibly low success rate, sometimes hovering right around 0%. We used to always talk about retraining displaced manual laborers, the whole turn coal miners into coders idea. But that logic breaks down completely when the coding jobs are the ones disappearing. You can't retrain an entire population for a new industry if the algorithms are already waiting there to do those new jobs too.
This totally predictable failure of mass retraining forces us to confront a really profound societal question. We've basically built our entire modern American identity around our careers. What we do for a living from 9 to 5 often defines exactly who we are. So if human labor is drastically reduced across the board, it forces a massive shift in our cultural identity. How do we actually find purpose, meaning, and a sense of self in an economy where machines consistently outperform us at almost everything?
Okay,
Take a deep breath because it's actually not all doom and gloom. Analysts point out that we're standing at a super critical crossroads right now, staring down two very distinct paths. Down the first path, the few companies building these digital mines just consolidate all the power. Tech monopolies hoard the profits, and the wealth gap explodes. But down the alternate path, if we manage this transition correctly, this massive, unbelievable leap in productivity could actually unlock an era of unprecedented global wealth and abundance.
To actually steer us toward that abundance, policy experts are fiercely advocating for a completely new type of economic safety net. It's a fascinating framework. It usually starts with something called a seed UBI, just a baseline universal basic income to get the infrastructure running. Next, they suggest heavily taxing the massive productivity gains generated by AI. That revenue allows the basic income to scale up rapidly as more and more industries get disrupted. Ultimately, researchers argue this exact progression could transition society into a universal high income, potentially freeing us from the grueling 40-hour workweek altogether.
Obviously, this transition is going to be a bumpy ride, and managing it is likely going to be the defining economic challenge of our generation. The fierce debate over how we balance cutthroat corporate efficiency with actual human livelihood, that is only just beginning. So, as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder until our next explainer. Can the traditional middle class actually adapt and survive the next decade, or are we standing right on the brink of a permanent evolution in what it means to be a working human? Let's definitely keep this vital discussion going.